Hi, folks. My name is Max, your occasional host of The Most, back with you for another video. And with me, of course, is Liz Cross. Liz, how was your Christmas?
Oh, it was terrible. The cold was terrible. Christmas was great. The holidays were great. You know, kids are out of school, but the bitter wind and biting cold and being iced in, not so great.
Was there a bit of snow along with the cold or just the
Oh,
cold?
yeah. We had layers of ice, layers of snow, uh, very sub-zero temperatures. It was all right though. It was interesting. I mean, a lot of us were snowed in for many days, but that's okay. It's Christmas. Where are you going to go anyway?
Okay, yeah, sure. And do you think this is a statistical fluke or maybe a more permanent phenomenon where this whole the day after tomorrow version of climate change is becoming a reality, where we are diving into a mini ice age? What's your sense there?
Oh, that's a good question. What is the sense of? I mean, this was all very natural. I know some people think that it wasn't, but it was very natural. Were these wild? I mean, these wild weather patterns are nothing unusual. It's just that, you know, a lot of weather documentation has not been kept over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of
Sure.
years. But if you actually document the weather for many hundreds of years, then you would see that these wild weather patterns are, you know, they do come about. There is definitely some sort of global warming something process going on, but how it ties into this weather phenomena, I'm not sure. That would be a whole separate video.
And it's also not the case that Klaus Schwab has a ice cyclone button on his desk or something like that. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Okay. Anyway, folks, I hope you had a great Christmas, and I wish all of you a very happy and healthy and prosperous 2023. I was just reflecting a little bit on the year earlier today, and I was reminded of the fact that maybe 30 years ago, I was reading a lot of Nostradamus. I was really fascinated by him and other people that had written prophecies about the future. And I remember being very spooked about everything that was predicted for 1999 and beyond. And by now we would be living or basically in the remnants of our society. Everything would have been blown up. But, you know, here we are at the end of 2022 and the sky is still blue and no lizard aliens outside here. I'm just looking. No, coast is clear. And the war here in Europe is still at bay. I mean, a lot of people are suffering, obviously, and I'm not blind to that. There's a lot of people who are in dire straits, of course, and my prayers and hopefully yours are with them. But I think we had this discussion the other day, Liz, either on a video or not. I can't remember. But why is it always the case? Let me just ask the question again. That when psychics or prophets, when they look to the future, they either tend to see a very apocalyptic future, or they tend to see like Hitomi, not Hitomi, she's not the right example, I think, but they either see, you know, the golden age coming, while the reality is that, like, you know, universe keeps things in balance, and I think in 10 years there will still be a stock market and cars and aircraft and people just going about their daily lives and jobs, and it will not be hell on earth, nor will it be a paradise. It will hopefully be a bit better. But yeah, to go back to my question, why is it that psychics often tend to see kind of an extreme version of one or the other scenario when they look out into the future?
Well, that's a great question. I think because when you're trying to pull information very far out in the future, it's difficult. And so the universe has to give you those psychic impressions in order that you understand them. When in reality, like you say, the universe does keep a balance. And sometimes it may feel that we are more dark than light, and sometimes it feels like we are more light than dark. But overall, if you were to keep a checklist of pros and cons, I'm sure you'd find it turns out to be very even. So I just think it's how you pull the information. That's one thing, and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, but that's one thing that I had to learn as well, which is how to make the information as accurate as possible, even though you're looking out into the future. And oftentimes when you're looking out into the future, you're not asking any particular questions. You're just getting an overview. And that overview it can be, wholly inaccurate. If you're just saying, okay, spirit, what's going to happen in 2050? Well, they want to show you an explosion, but that explosion could be something very small, or it could be something very big, an awakening, or, it's just too vague of a question. So that's why if remote viewing, you can make dedicated time movements and then start firing off the questions. Now, the problem with that is it's also a bit flawed. And the reason that is a bit flawed is because you have to kind of know what to ask for the future. So if you want to say, is there a stock market? Is the Federal Reserve still around? Are the central banks still around? Is Europe still in existence? Things like that, you can. But we're not actually going to have access to, has Tesla created a smartphone? Unless you're willing to have that information there on your paper, and then you're asking the questions. But a lot of times we don't know what questions to ask because so many more things have materialized. So yeah, but that's a really good question. And also, the closer you are to the energy, the more apparent it becomes. So you can then start making more, definitive time movements. So, I mean, it's all about how you ask the questions. And people that have been following me for a long time, they know that the most important job is the interviewer questions, right? The interviewers have to ask the right questions. As long as people are asking the right questions, then we're going to get more specific answers.
Yeah, no, great answer. And yeah, my own prediction, based on my own observations of how things, between the predictions that I've read about and how things played out in reality, my own prediction, how life will be in 2032 will be that, yeah, in the coming 10 years, some horrific things will happen, some great things, new discoveries, but that the planet will still be here, and it won't be, it will kind of still be more or less the same. But I could be horribly mistaken. Maybe paradise will come, or a dystopian global dictatorship. But personally, I think that yeah, I think the world will just go on pretty much the way it has been going on. But who knows? Anyway, I hope that that you and your loved ones and your will be safe and secure, and can live a good, happy life next year and beyond. So with that, today's topic is an interesting one. I think everyone who watches this video has heard by now of the death of Michelle Whitedove, your esteemed colleague of yours, Liz.
Mhm.
I think Michelle does not need much of an introduction. She's a psychic. Much of her reputation was centered on the crypto market.
Mhm.
I think she had a major hit with Theta, among others. Yeah, she suddenly on December 3rd, I'm not sure, but I think she died. We were notified by, I think initially by JSNIP, that she had died. And we want to ask her or her spirit some questions. Are you up for it, Liz?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people were shocked by the news of Whitedove's passing, especially since she was only posting stuff maybe a couple of days or a few days before. It was a very sudden passing, according to her followers. And a lot of people that follow me also followed her, and they made a long list of questions to ask
Yes.
her.
Which we divided. One, cause of death. Two, experiences on the other side. Excellent topic. Three, predictions. And four, of course, cryptos. This is a topic that will haunt her beyond the grave, whether she likes it or not. I shouldn't joke about it, but I think she can appreciate the humor, hopefully. But maybe first we have to, by no means, we do not want to create a controversial video, but we kind of need to address the elephant in the room here, which I will do, and Liz can respond. She can see what kind of info comes in. There were some people on the Discord. I checked in from time to time, and I didn't verify this myself, but there are people that say that she is not dead at all. That Michelle Whitedove was not her real name. I will not reveal what might have been her actual name here. That's not very civil. That's not something I want to do. That there might have been some legal, financial issues that she was experiencing. Of course, she was also receiving some criticism, right, for her crypto predictions. A lot of people invested on her based on her advice, and I can imagine that there were compelling reasons to drop the Whitedove persona and maybe move on. Again, I'm just quoting what I've read, and maybe we can verify that information somehow. And again, this is not my personal opinion, nor Liz, her opinion. But Liz, is there anything relevant that you can pick up? Is Michelle Whitedove actually still among us, among the living, or is she not?
Michelle Whitedove? No, Michelle Whitedove has gone. You know, that's there's no question about that. Michelle Whitedove, you know, as far as her psychic personality, you know, that's how we know her. Again, when we say Whitedove, that's her stage name, and that's understandable. Yes, Michelle Whitedove is gone.
So you're saying the Michelle Whitedove persona is not among us anymore, right?
Right.
Okay. I think we'll leave it at that because I don't want to create some kind of a riot. Also, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone. Certainly not the legacy of Michelle and her, the people around her that love her. And I was on her Patreon, and I definitely always appreciated her reports. And anyway, whether Michelle is alive or not, you can definitely, and let's assume that she is not, you can definitely connect to her, correct?
Yes, I mean, yes, do have a connection with her. And again, if anybody is questioning the reality of all this, I think because it was shocking, a lot of times when people pass, is Elvis really dead? Or is, so and so really dead? No, maybe they've gone into hiding. I would just urge you to do your internet sleuthing. Her real name is not difficult to find. Death certificates are public record. You could check down in Broward County, I believe, Fort Lauderdale, and you can apply for those death certificates. So, there you go.
Okay. Well, fascinating. And maybe this will develop into an Elvis style kind of mythology. But anyway, for now, I have no idea what is really going on. And so for me, I just take the information that was provided by JSNP, who I also respect, at face value, and end of story. So we'll see then how she her spirit or her consciousness responds to the question. So well, category 1 is actually about her cause of death. And the first question is a bit on the conspiratorial side, which is, was she killed off because she spoke about, quote, the agenda, unquote?
That was an interesting question. That I like that question very much because, Michelle Whitedove did not really, she wasn't reserved in some of the information she put out. I mean, she very much put out a lot of things as what she thought them or perceived them or spirit gave to her. Whereas, excuse me, most of us, we have to be quite reserved about what we put out in our mediums of communication because of fear of censorship. She did not, I don't feel like she was afraid of that. And I have to give her credit for that.
Sure.
Were you killed off because of some sort of agenda? That's a no. No,
Okay.
She wasn't killed off because of some sort of agenda.
All right. Can you somehow get a sense of what she died of? If that information can be related, right? Again, it's kind of, yeah, we probe into people's lives. That's kind of what we're all about, but into situations. But I definitely don't want to ask questions that might be, or get answers that might be sensitive. But it can the cause of death be revealed and to us?
I feel like she had issues with her liver. I feel like she had issues. She was definitely exhausted. I totally get that, right? As a psychic medium myself, you have to be extremely cautious about how much you do for everyone else. I've explained this just recently on another video. People don't understand that your life force energy is there to protect you. But when you're in the field that I am, it's actually other people plugging into your life force energy in order to put the information out there. Well, if you overextend yourself, you start attracting, diseases, illnesses, things like that. It's not unheard of for psychic mediums to become very ill at a very young age. It's a real problem. And I know they say, ground and protect, wash yourself in white light. You can do all that, but you're still tapping into that life force energy. They're still using your energy to make their communication possible. So I do feel like there was a lot of exhaustion going on there. So I feel like it was a multitude of issues.
Was it also mentally, spiritually exhausted, or you're talking more on in the physical sense?
So that's a great question. The physical sense. When you are giving away your life force energy to, the benefit of others to facilitate this communication, physically, you get run down. and that is not unheard of. I mean, I've put in strong boundaries. I'm very limited. I say I'm very limited. I adhere to my boundaries that are in place. I'm not doing 10 readings a day, right? That's just not even possible. You know, just a couple of readings, and it all depends on the individual as well. You know, how much energy they have overall, how much enthusiasm they have, passion that they have. You know, I'm not saying she wasn't passionate, but I'm thinking of, you know, other prominent psychics out there. Noreen Rainier, who was a very good psychic detective, and she ended up getting breast cancer. I don't even know if she's still alive. I should check on that. But, you know, eventually you can make yourself very ill if you're not cautious with how much you're putting out.
Yeah. So you mentioned the liver. Were there any, that's another question from one of the viewers. Were COVID in any way, shape, or form involved? Complications from COVID? She was fiercely anti-vaccine, like most
Yeah, I
people.
believe. Sorry, I
No,
didn't
go ahead.
cut across you there. I do believe at some point she did have COVID. Was COVID the cause of death? I'm not sure if COVID was the actual cause of death, but I do believe at some point she did have COVID.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to experiences on the other side. Let me ask a question, if I may. Yeah, how does she, from where she's sitting now, how does she reflect on her life and also her activities in the? We'll get to cryptos later, but just her whole, what she did with the Patreon and her reports, her psychic, work, and her life in general. How does she reflect on everything? It's still quite early days after her death. Any thoughts or feelings from her?
I mean, she feels like she had a very privileged life, being able to do what she could do. She's certainly extremely grateful for that she had this lifetime of spirit communication. She's grateful for the break, to be honest with you. She's resting at the moment. So yeah, I feel like she's enjoying herself. She's restful. She feels rested. I do believe exhaustion was a huge part of this.
How did and again, I will get to the cryptos later, folks. I'm sure that most people want to get to the crypto section ASAP, but let me ask this question. How does she feel about the flag she received from the people on her Patreon? I know that I saw that myself. A lot of people made negative remarks because maybe she was a staunch believer in the crypto market, but I think a lot of people also maybe made some bad investments partially based on her advice, or they just were not patient enough to see the market recover in the long term. And again, I don't have any. I don't have a horse in the race here. I got out of crypto a long time ago myself. How does she reflect on her own on the let's say the negativity surrounding her whole crypto shtick in the final year or so?
How do you feel about the negativity? Well, she just, she feels like it was quite bogus. I understand where she's coming from on this, because 2022, no matter just about where you put your money, whether it's in the housing market, whether it's in the stock market, whether it's in, crypto market, business investments, whatever, it has not been a stellar year. across the board for investments. People that were unrealistically expecting miracles in 2022, they're going to be sadly disappointed. It just isn't going to happen. And I got news for everybody. It's not going to happen in 2023 either. Certainly not until around the end of 2023. If it happens at all. The closer we get to the energy, the more information we'll have on that. But it's all about people having to have patience, like you say.
You said, just to verify, you just said she thinks it's bogus. You're not saying she's saying the crypto market is bogus, right? You're saying the criticism is bogus, yeah?
That's a good question, because I thought that was a strange word when she said it. What do you think about, what do you mean by bogus? The criticism is like bogus. Like it's not relevant at a time of a down market. Everybody's down. Everybody is down. Stocks, shares, everything is down.
Okay. Any perspective from her now, looking down upon us, chasing wealth, and any thoughts or feelings about that? I can imagine that maybe from where she's sitting now, it all looks it's very pity behavior. Us focusing on our little stash of whatever it is you have.
Our little gold bags. I mean,
yeah. I wish
it's unnecessary. Where once you pass into the spirit world, money is irrelevant. It's unnecessary. This is where I have a big gripe with the spirit world, though, because money evolved to make our lives easier and to make our lives move an evolution much faster, right? Because without money, we're growing our own crops, we're building our own houses, we're back in the pioneer days or pre-pioneer days, right? With money, we can pay for those materials, we can pay for people to do this for us, we can pay people to grow the food, and then we just become ever more productive. So because of money, evolution has sped up, exponentially. But certainly once you cross over into the spirit world, money is irrelevant. It's important, but it's unnecessary. It's irrelevant. You don't need it to live in the spirit world. Now, something that you and I discussed prior to this video, which was when we were talking to someone else who had passed, which is, money is not relevant. It's your knowledge and your wisdom and that's how you ascend. That's what you take with you to the spirit world. So those of you that are sitting around chasing money on this spiritual journey, I totally understand that. But I often find that when people end up in the sphere of Liz Cross, right? You're not there just for money. You're there for enlightenment. And that goes for, most psychic mediums that are putting out this information. Yeah, okay, that's sort of the bait. But when you come in, like certainly for my group, you come in, we do CTT healing, we do all sorts of enlightenment, we do groups and things like that. You're coming there not just for money, you're coming to get healed as well. So your soul can reach some sort of ascension.
Interesting. What does Michelle think we here, down here, who were left behind on the earthly plane, what do we get wrong about money and wealth? And what is it from where she's sitting, what do we not understand about it, if anything?
That's a good
What do we
question.
get wrong about money?
What do we get wrong about money? Everything about money is wrong, I'm getting from her.
About money itself or how we deal with it?
Is it the money itself? The money itself, how much is allocated to us? We have these misconceptions that we can outsmart the life plan. That's just not always possible. The only way you attract money into yourself is by healing on the inside and accepting that, money is part of the life plan. It's wrong to become obsessive about this pursuit of money.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So what will Michelle's job be on the other side, and what is heaven like her, like for her? Sorry.
What is your job side? That's not been decided yet. I just feel like right now it's a much needed rest. Eventually, when she's recharged her batteries, that will be decided.
Okay. What happened as she transitioned? Tunnel of light, or any interesting observations that she can share with us?
Well, there was no resistance to leaving. That's what I'm getting for sure. Some people are very resistant to going. Sometimes people have extremely traumatic passing because they're fighting it all the way. They're in that end stage of life and they're fighting it. I don't feel like she had that end stage of life issue, but certainly she embraced it. She embraced that it's time to go.
So the actual moment of death was quite peaceful for her, correct?
She chose for it to be.
Yeah. Great. Again, I just asked another question, and it's being repeated here. Any observations about the spirit world thus far?
Any observations? Just that she's at peace and it's very beautiful.
Well, it seems, at least from these answers, that Michelle is, in fact, has gone on to the other side, and yeah, interesting stuff thus far. Here's an interesting question. Considering the fact that she was a psychic here, is it easier for her to see and communicate with us more than the average person that crosses over?
It's easier to see. It's about the same. So she certainly hasn't received any sort of, superpowered it's about the same. But it's not, now she's not using her life force energy. She's using others' life force energy. So, she's not the one that they're plugging into. Now she's plugging into someone else.
Is she now plugging into you, for example, to come through, or?
Yes.
Okay. And the energy drain is, would it be more or less than the average person coming through? Let's say so from your perspective.
Well, it's still early in the morning for me, so I haven't noticed the drain yet.
Okay.
That's me about 3:00. That's when I really start to get, tired.
I think that's kind of normal with all people, that you get your big glucose crash around 3. But yeah, so any more words before we close this topic on her current surroundings? Like someone asks here, where is she now? Is it the spirit world, or anything relevant she can say about her current surroundings?
No, I mean, I just keep getting that she's at rest. And that is the most important thing for her, that she is at rest.
Okay. Okay. So,
life is hard.
yes.
Life is exhausting.
Sometimes it is, especially around Christmas. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. You're
All that hard drinking. Oh my God.
You're not kidding, but life can be difficult. Just little mundane things that we do, like writing letters, trying to get refunds, or trying to get our money, situated, or somebody's cloned our debit card. Those sorts of things are really exhausting for our soul.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Firing people, which I have to do right after this show, unfortunately, but it's also very draining. And or to be fired, it's even worse. All right, let's. Are you still there, Liz? I can see you kind of went offline, or
Yes, sorry, I sneezed.
okay, excellent. Very professional to click the sneeze button. Very, very good. Let's. We have a little block of predictions here. Well, yeah. Someone asks here. It's. I mean, it's a logical question to ask, but please ask Michelle about all her latest world predictions. Obviously, you cannot quote here a new report from Michelle from the other side, an 800-page report. But is there maybe anything that Michelle feels that she wants to share about the near future, something to look out for, something major? Can be a very positive thing, like, hey, the cure for cancer is on the way, folks. That would be nice. Or yep, that nuclear war is coming. You're all going to die, or everything in between. Any maybe a top three of interesting predictions that she would like to share?
That's a good question. So she is telling me that the world will be at peace soon. Right now, we're in turmoil in many different ways, but I do feel that eventually the world will resume a peaceful existence around 2024. Going into 2025, there'll be upswings in the markets. People will be able to relax a bit more. So that's what I'm getting from her in the near term future. What about cryptos? How are they going to pan out? I mean, cryptos are extremely volatile, she's saying. Well, cryptos are unreliable. Now she, has this other view, which is cryptos are totally unreliable. They're not sustainable. It's like gambling. You did a good call with Theta, though. And yes, that was her good call. Will Theta ever go back up to its all-time high? No, it will never go back to its all-time high.
Of which was 15, 16 bucks, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much done.
So I guess this is the big reveal of the video then, that basically she renounces crypto from the other side. Is that the conclusion we can draw here?
Do you renounce crypto from the other side? Basically, yeah. It's it's relatively unimportant as well. But certainly, it's a lost cause in a way. Now, let me ask her this question. Do you believe that FTX is going to end up being a tell-all? Yeah. See, I got this the other day on another video. The FTX, the Sam Bankman-Fried, is going to be this massive exposure that he's going to expose all these exchanges, how they're ripping people off. He's going to give the whole ins and outs, hopefully for a reduced sentence. Will he get he will get a reduced sentence for his information, and he will be helping the government.
So we need to dwell a little bit on cryptos, obviously, because you said something very interesting there. Is she basically giving up on crypto for 2023 or for forever-ish?
Are you basically giving up on crypto? Yeah, yes. So crypto is irrelevant now.
Okay, I'm still going to do a few crypto questions here, despite this very comprehensive conclusion. Does she still see Theta around in 2030, 35, and 40?
Do you still? That's a good question.
So in the next decade, basically.
Around in 2030? Yes, it's still there around 2030. Do you see it around 2040? No, by 2040, it's long gone.
Are any of the other cryptos still around in 2040?
Any of the other cryptos still around in 2040? Bitcoin, Ethereum. I don't even know if Ethereum's still around. Bitcoin.
Just Bitcoin. Well, wow.
That's what I'm getting from her. I mean, there'll be little dribs and drabs, but yeah, Bitcoin.
Does she then, I mean, I'm just now making up questions, but I assume people want to know this. Does she, anyway, I'm going to ask anyway. Does she see a value of Bitcoin in 2030 and 40?
You see a value?
Can we get one?
It's going to certainly go up from where it is, but Bitcoin is going to go through a transitionary phase as well. It's not going to be as we know it, which is interesting that I'm getting this information because I've heard that before.
Yeah. From where she's sitting, could she advise us to take our money elsewhere? Or is there something, I think even you, Liz, you alluded to maybe a new kind of financial system or some kind of investment vehicle coming up. What would she advise to people who are now who are very disappointed in crypto, where to take their money? Something completely new that is not there yet, or is about to come up, or the classic, gold, etc., stocks.
So, what do you think about gold and silver? Are those good investments? She doesn't believe gold and silver are good investments. There is going to be another type of development, which we've gotten before. It seems like it will be something similar. Will it have it will be devoid of a blockchain. Now that is something that I've gotten before. It will be devoid of a blockchain. It will materialize probably around the end of this decade, going into 2030s. That could be delayed. It just depends upon the technology. But will we ever swap over to a one world digital currency? That's not coming for many, 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 many years, she's saying. That's a great question as well. A lot of people are anticipating it, that we're going to swap into this one world digital currency. Will that happen? I don't feel like that's going to happen in our lifetime.
Okay. Are there still cryptos with which you can make a killing in the coming year or years?
Are there cryptos that you can still make a killing?
As a general question, like, is there, we don't need, we can ask about the names, but someone else can do it as well.
Just as a general, yes, I mean, there are, but you're going to have to comb through them carefully. It's not going to be what it once was.
Yeah. Are those existing cryptos or new ones that are yet to be launched?
Are those existing cryptos? I feel like Ethereum, she's telling me, is pretty stable. What about BNB? BNB is quite stable. Bitcoin, again, that's a mainstay for her. But as far as like these little coins, you've got to be very careful of that. I would just hold on and just try to, if you don't mind losing the money and taking that gamble, because she did say it was like gambling, then, that's up to you. What you do with this information is entirely up to you. That's your decision. I'm not responsible. She's not responsible. Max isn't responsible. That's your decision. It's on you. Okay. You know what you have to spend. You know how much you can afford to lose. So if you want to take that chance, but what she's saying is you have to be very, very thorough in your research. So you're going to start looking at companies that bring out their own crypto. Okay. So I feel like that's the next big thing. It's like well-established companies that are focusing on cryptos.
Right. I think she mentioned at one point, like I dropped out of crypto like a long time ago on your advice, which is very good advice, Liz. Thank you. But I think at one point she mentioned Amazon, which would come out with its own crypto, and that would be a great investment. Does she still see that coming?
Yes, but I think it's like very far out off in the future for now.
Okay. Which at least implies that Amazon will still be around, but that seems unavoidable considering their growth in the last decade. Yeah, and folks, I might not. I have to apologize here. I've been out of crypto for like kind of a while, and I leave these questions normally to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Shakespeare, or Mr. Robot. I'm not. I don't consider myself an expert or the right person to. My heart isn't in it anymore. It never was actually, but I'm doing my best here. And I so maybe Mr. S can do a follow up with you and Michelle, purely focused on crypto. But there are still a few questions, of course, that even I'm curious about. XPRT, of course, persistence was the next big thing after Theta, and that never quite panned out.
No.
Can she comment on that in any way, shape, or form? Why that was the case, or why she got that wrong, at least thus far?
Why was that wrong? See, I know I just explained this on another video, and that was, regarding another crypto. It's how you're reading the coins. And at the time of reading it, it feels really, really good. Now, one problem that Michelle has, and certainly, I did read a couple of her reports once, and she was like, okay, I did get this wrong. But I feel like she was very hesitant or reluctant sometimes, as most psychics probably are, to admit when they're wrong. We don't always like to admit it, because then it sort of, the problem is we're held to very high standards, right? We're held to these extremely unrealistic high standards that, oh, well, you're going to get everything right 100% of the time. And that's just not even possible. You'd have to be on par with source to get something right 100% of the time. Okay. We are not source. We are trying to provide some light in this dark world that we live in. But certainly we're not source. We don't know everything. And then when you're channeling spirit, when you're, they're not really allowed. There are spiritual laws about giving information regarding monetary gain. They could give you monetary gain. Sometimes you can, but most of the times you can't. So when you're looking at a coin and this coin just feels good, you like the energy around it. Oh, this is going to do well, right? How well is this going to do? Well, it feels so wonderful right now. It feels like it's going to go, let's just say, into the thousands. Okay. And also she invested. Did you invest? Yes. See, she invested in a lot of the coins that she would put out. So therefore, she's already emotionally involved in the prediction. Now, it's not just her that does that. There's a lot of people that do that. You should never really go with someone who's emotionally involved and financially invested in whatever it is they're probing. Most of you know out there, I could give a toss about crypto. I'm not really in crypto. I get a couple of tips here and there. Apart from that, no way. I don't put my money in crypto. However, a lot of people like to put their money in crypto, and that's great for them. But I think if I'm trying to be a reliable source for people, it's best that I don't put money in crypto so I can stay neutral. Once that neutrality is gone and you are investing in your own predictions, it's very rare that it's right. Now, I don't know what happened with Theta. I wasn't really, ever in the crypto market. She probably discovered Theta before she invested in it. So maybe she was just combing through that. She's just said that's correct. So she was combing through the coins and she got that information about Theta, and then she bought into it, right? And then she put out information, and obviously that was her star coin. But once you cross over into investing in it, then you're emotionally involved and therefore you start skewing your own predictions. She did have quite a lot of money in crypto, a lot. And I feel like she lost a lot of money in crypto as well, as have most people sitting at the end of 2022. Most people are 90 to 95% down. Anyway, so that's the issue. You have to be able, and again, it's just my style. I just find that using remote viewing is far more accurate than just feeling the energy of a coin, right? So, okay, the energy of that coin may feel great now, but you want to move that coin 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out. Is that coin still there? How has it done? And you have to set time limits. People that are just putting out information without setting time limits, they can never be wrong, right? It's like, oh yeah, theta is going to go to, or whatever it is. There's lots of people putting out silver is going to go to $600. We don't know when, but it is. Okay, well, they can never be wrong. It could go to $600 2, 3, 400 years from now. but we're not, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, yes and no, because at the end of the day, there won't be a day in the year, you just said, in the year 10,000 when theta will finally hit that $1,000, right? That will never happen, actually. She did say
no, the theta will be gone.
Yeah, and it will never reach 1,000 before it disappears, right? It will.
Will it ever reach 1,000? No, I don't even think it is going to get back up to its all-time high, ever.
Will it ever get back up to? While we're here, I'm going to ask. Will it ever get back up to $10?
No.
5?
And maybe at some point it could go up to 5, maybe. But that's about the max that I'm getting right now. Again, this is channeling somebody, or this is channeling spirit. The best way to go about these types of predictions is to really do remote viewing time movements. But as far as like going back to the all-time high, no, we just did a whole video on theta, actually. And I think that was put out for the Patreon subscribers only. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I put out so much content, I can't possibly remember what I do from one day to the next. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that we just put out this video on theta, and it was basically showing the pattern and how that, theta, because I get a lot of questions about theta. It's not because of the whole Michelle Whitedove thing. Theta is a very popular coin. And so I do get a lot of questions, that and XLM and, just the standard things. But yeah, so we did a whole video on theta.
Okay, let's drop crypto. I kind of feel embarrassed asking deaf people about crypto, but we did it. And maybe one or two last questions, maybe refocus a bit on 2023. I was delighted to hear just now that maybe the year 2024, 2025 will be, the world will be a bit more peaceful than it is now, which I think is great news. Maybe one of the other great reveal of this video. One person asks, of course, it's an obvious question, but I think it's on a lot of people's minds. Will there be a major stock bond market crash in 2023, according to Michelle?
No, the bond market is going to stay strong for a while now. It is. Lots of people, when they're in these downturn markets, especially the wealthy people, they start shifting their money around to make sure that they preserve their wealth. So, again, even though we've seen this downturn, it's all life lessons, right?
Sure.
You think about how much we've all learned this year of how to manage money just in this downturn market, right? First of all, you don't, invest money that you don't have. You don't borrow or take out loans to invest in the crypto market or in any market, right? Because this has been a huge eye opener. I mean, the crypto space is a minefield. Loads of people were jumping on the bandwagon. They just had to get in there. They didn't want to miss out on any potential gain. So they're borrowing, they're taking out credit cards, they're taking out loans. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be rich. And this has taught us, the crypto market is just like any other investment out there. It can and will possibly fail if you don't do it very well. So the bond market, I certainly don't see that crashing anytime soon. I know there's a lot of talk about would the Chinese call in the bonds. I don't see that happening. They're not going to crash the American economy. There's a reason for that, because if we don't have money to spend, we're not buying their products. And that's the second time I've received that information that, China does not want a global or an economic crash. It depends upon our money to support their businesses. Yes. They're making money through, us spending money on their products. It's very logical. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, but a lot of times with this mind probes and psychic information, it really just sheds light on the logical explanations. And so
fully concur there. Liz, I propose we soon will give Michelle a rest. Maybe I'm sure lots of people will channel Michelle in the coming days, weeks, and years to see what she thinks about some situation or person or investment. But maybe for now, does Michelle want to share some last words of advice with us, or anything really?
Any last minute words of advice? Just gratitude. Thank you for the successes. Thank you for, following her. Thank you for supporting her. It's really just a lot of gratitude that's being expressed here. And I know that there was some controversy about a video that I did earlier on in the year where I was remote viewing some of her crypto calls, and there's no animosity between us, certainly regarding that. It wasn't to be awful to Michelle. It was just to provide some enlightenment on a lot of her crypto calls. So yeah, I mean, she just is extremely grateful for all of her fans, all of her followers. Thank you for believing in her. And, thank you for bringing psychic to the mainstream.
Yeah. Okay, good. Any last advice for us here on the earthly plane?
Keep living.
Keep on trucking, folks.
Keep on trying. Keep on living. Yeah. Keep living. Keep
all
doing
right.
the
Well,
good
that's yeah. Okay. Keep on living. Well, we'll do our best down here.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Liz, I think we're there. Nice vid, I would say. Any final words from you as we close the year?
No, I mean, this has been a great video, and just thank you again for everybody that supports me. You can go to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. We will still continue this Whitedove discussion. I'm sure this will open up the whole thread on the Discord and on the Patreon, where we will constantly have questions that they will want Michelle to answer. So we will just keep this an ongoing thing. And yeah, it's just, I'm just grateful for everybody. I feel like she does. Like I wouldn't be here if you guys weren't here. And that's just how it goes. I feel very passionate about what I do. I enjoy what I do. I like that I have a totally different style. I do remote viewing and use my psychic ability that's catered towards remote viewing. And I love doing mind probes. Those of you that have followed me for a long time, you're starting to get these mind probes, right? You're understanding how this opens up everything, and you start to have this epiphany and this enlightenment of how things are really going, that, you know, the mind probes go beyond the PR spin. So just thank you, everybody. And of course, if you want to book a reading with me, go to psychiclizcross.com. My calendar for regular readings and CTT sessions, which is a healing session that I do using past life regression, that is currently closed. I was booked 6 months out. As soon as we're getting through the queue, I will reopen that calendar. The VIPs are still open, which is jump the queue. That doesn't have a long queue. Yes, it is more expensive. I'm very sorry about that. And the paper readings are still open. But I will make an announcement when the regular readings open back up. In the meantime, if you want to interact with me, Max, Mr. Shakespeare, Mr. Robot, anybody, come join us on the Discord. So thank you very much, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. See you in 2023, folks. Bye-bye.